Hey guys, I kind of wanted to share some of my thoughts on the AKA webinar. If you guys didn't catch it, I highly recommend going to their site, looking it up, and registering to watch it. Like always, it was pretty long and very informative. One of the things that stuck with me the most, though, was at the end in the question and answer period, to where Mac reminded everybody, kind of put up that I have it here too, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994. Simply, if we could find proof that Kratom was sold as a supplement before 94, then it's grandfathered in. Just to elaborate a little bit, this is a bill to amend the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act to establish standards with respect to dietary supplements and for other purposes. Basically, some crazy stuff was happening. Like, one guy was arrested by an FDA agent for taking vitamin C tablets, and that's pretty crazy. So anyway, this is kind of what started this up. So, first thing is important, like, just because we can find that it was sold in 94 or earlier, doesn't mean that it would meet the criteria of supplement. Well, according to the actual bill's definition of supplement, they define the term dietary supplement to mean a product other than tobacco intended to supplement the diet that bears or contains one or more dietary ingredient, including a vitamin, a mineral, an herb, or other botanical. And then a couple other things, a dietary substance used by man to supplement the diet by increasing the total dietary intake, concentration, metabolite, constituent, extract, or combination of any of the aforementioned ingredients. So it would be pretty hard to argue whether or not our tea, kratom, no matter how you ingest it, would fall under that. It's definitely botanical. You could call it an herb. Even extracts and stuff, I would recommend making sure you get clean, good extracts. But it definitely fits their own definition of what a dietary supplement is. And then, kind of one of the most important parts is under the Act, supplement manufacturers do not need to receive FDA approval before marketing dietary supplements that were marketed in the United States before 94. There's a lot of evidence that kratom was being imported and exported in other countries well before that. I found studies as early as the early 80s, late 70s in certain parts of the world. So this is a plant that people saw real use all the way as far early as the 70s, where there are actual published scientific studies in its ability to fight pain and its ability to, even the ability to help with opiate addiction. There are studies published that early. So I kind of urge everybody to look into it. If you have any friends that have been importing it or exporting it out of various countries, see if they can come up with a record. We just need a record of this being imported and sold before 94. If you can, get in touch with the AKA. Mac, I'm sure, would absolutely love to see it. I truly believe it's out there. I'm sure somebody was buying it and selling it before 94. We need to find them. It's important because then the FDA really doesn't have a leg to stand on as far as us marketing them as a dietary supplement. Of course, they would have the authority to make sure that they're being done safely and correctly, but they would not be able to say it's illegal, and they would not be able to say that we can't sell it as a dietary supplement. One of the reasons that imports are being seized by the FDA is because they're not labeled properly. Now, this would fix a lot of that because it would be able to be labeled and sold as a dietary supplement. This is the absolute simplest, easiest way to proceed. Of course, they're going to fight it, but this would give us a lot to stand on in our efforts to defend kratom. like I said, that call went into a lot of stuff. I didn't know about this. I've been looking into it. There's a lot of research done that early, which is kind of valuable anyway, because even as early as the 70s, scientists were studying it, saying that it helps with opiate addiction. It helps with this, helps with that. Um, it may be mildly addictive. I don't know if anybody's really arguing that too seriously, but there are actual scientific studies that show sugar is more addictive than cocaine. So I'm kind of the thought process with just because something could be mildly addictive does not mean that it's bad. I'm a pretty heavy user, being a disabled veteran, and I suffer a lot. And if I don't take it, I start feeling a little bit crummy, but it's really nothing bad. When I take a break, I have no real problem with it. I have more of a problem when I stop drinking, coffee and soda with the caffeine addiction. So I keep saying that just because it may be mildly addictive, and for some it's obviously worse, does not mean that it's necessarily bad. And on top of that, imagine the medications and drugs that could be made from this. Imagine a much safer painkiller with a lot less of an addiction and easier to get off of. You wean yourself off and you're fine with heavy use. Of course, like anything, you have to be safe and be careful with it. But we're just sitting on something too good to let it just crumble away. We got to keep fighting. We have to come together. And this would be such a good knife in the back of the FDA. So please, please, please look into it. Talk to people. Figure it out. Speaking of talking to people, a couple more groups have been shut down on Facebook. So if you run or have or are in a support group or an informative group, I urge you to dissuade from advertising vendors and for selling things. Because groups are really actually being shut down. A lot of people have moved to MeWe.com. I have an account on there. I'm trying it. Another thing, if you guys have a good social media alternative or a good Kratom social media alternative, comment it up, because it would be nice to have everybody kind of together as a community. It's much easier to pass down information, to kind of stay in touch, and to just generally be there for each other. And that's about it. I mean, unite, come together, and let's all work together to fight to save Kratom. Oh, just kind of a side note, I am thinking about trying to get a little team together to fight the Wikipedia page on Kratom. Like, go ahead and look at it, and it's crazy. It would take kind of a team. We would need a couple people that are really good with writing, research, and being able to cite actual sources in it. And then we'd have to pull up a few $100, I think it is, to publish it. So if anybody has any interest or knowledge about that, let's try to get a group together. And I'll see you guys soon.